Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This week I am here with the legendary Shaun Tomson, and as I said to him a moment ago, it is quite surreal to have an icon of surfing, one of the pioneers. We had Corky Carroll. We've now come into the next generation, got Shaun Tomson. So, Shaun, can you just give us a little bit of a bio about yourself?
Okay, sure. So I've been surfing for decades. I started in the mid 60s. I started in a place called Durban, South Africa. We had an amazing break right in front of my home called the Bay of Plenty. I caught my first wave there. I actually surfed in my first competition right there at the Bay of Plenty. I like to think I was an instant success. I got third in my very first event. There was only three of us, but I got my third. So surfing was just a part of my life, part of my family's life. My dad had been a surfer. He was a champion swimmer when he grew up. Was headed for the Olympics, and then he had a very bad shark attack while he was surfing. But he never lost this great love that he had for the ocean and surfing, and taught me how to swim and surf about 100 meters away from where he had this terrible attack. So it was just part of our lives. We were always down at the beach. There was a whole group of us that used to surf at this break. And when you have a group of young guys, they're all stoked, they're all interested in progression. We had most probably one of the best young crews of surfers in the world at this little break, the Bay of Plenty. It was incredibly consistent. Certain times of year, we had like an endless barrel. You could get tubed for like 12 seconds. All sorts of different conditions, basic beach break, and then it was used to line up, backside, front side. So it was a really good break to grow up in, and to be surrounded by other guys who were equally as motivated and equally stoked, and equally good. So we always pushed ourselves. Um, I started competing at a young age. Eventually, I became South African champion, and then my father took me to Hawaii for my bar mitzvah. I'm Jewish. I rode big stuff. I was out there that day when Greg Knoll got, like, I was only 14, got the mega wave, and we rode some big stuff. Came back with a lot of confidence. Eventually, I went on to become a world champion. I won 19 major pro events around the world. I won everything in Hawaii pretty much. They didn't have the 80 back then when I was competing, but I won all the events there. Pipeline, I won the Pipeline Masters at a very young age. I think I was the youngest to win it. And then competed for a long time. Competed my first event, pro event in 69, my last event in 89. I was also very involved in the surfing industry and in the creation of professional surfing. I was one of the first guys to help build pro surfing from a dream into a reality, along with a great group of mates of mine, Ian Cairns, Peter Townend, Rabbit Bartholomew, Mark Richards. We sort of built it, created it, founded it. My cousin Michael Thompson. I also was one of the young guys in the surfing industry. Then the surfing industry was sort of, new brands were coming in. My cousin had a great brand called Gotcha. I had a great brand called Instinct, and they were both market leaders. I remember we sold in 13 countries. I sponsored a number of guys to become world champions too, and mentored them. So I was really connected to sports psychology. I was studying at university while I was competing. So I was, I used to hit the books and read a lot about autobiographies, biographies, read about other successful athletes, read about psychology, sports psychology. I remember I employed the very first coach in the history of surfing, which was a guy called Ian Cairns. He was, like, in his last year of competition, incredibly astute, thoughtful guy. Um, so I looked at surfing with intellect, not just physicality. I've worked with more shapers than anyone on this planet. I think I've worked with 42 different shapers through my career. So I was very involved with surfboard design. I wasn't a shaper, but I worked with amazing people: Al Merrick, Spider Murphy, Rusty Priestendorfer, all of them Nev Harmon, all of them at relatively Glenn Manami, Tom Parrish, all at relatively early stages of their careers. So I love being in business. I loved, being involved in the pro aspect of it, and I love surfing. I think I was more stoked than anyone on the tour. I'd spend more time in the water. I remember even Kelly Slater, years ago. This is not that long ago, but Shaun, you're the most surf obsessed person I've ever met. I've never met anyone who surfs longer. I used to surf for 8 hours. I loved it. And yes, things have changed today, and a lot of people are getting into sophisticated training. But there's nothing better than to put in the hours. I mean, if you want to improve, if you want to get good, if you want to become great. And then I retired from pro surfing in 1990. I sold my brand Instinct. My wife and I moved to the United States. I worked for Patagonia for 2 years, running their sportswear and surf division, which was great. I learned a lot about purposeful business, Patagonia. Then my wife and I started another brand. We called it Solitude. Instinct was about riding inside the barrel. When your mind is clear and you're operating on instinct, that's why I called it Instinct. Solitude was about escape, just paddling out towards the open horizon. The internet had come, and the world was getting over connected. So started Solitude, and we made beautiful product. We were the first people to make sustainable product and environmentally friendly product, and this was 23 years ago. We made beautiful product, and then we had it for about 8 years. We sold it. Then right when we sold it, I'd written a book, my first book, called Surfer's Code, 12 Simple Lessons for Riding Through Life. I lost my beautiful son, my wife and I lost our beautiful boy, Matthew, to a bad choice. Played a dangerous game that he heard about at school. So it was a terrible time for a long time. And I had to reevaluate my mission and my fundamental purpose in life. So I started using the book as a vehicle to empower people, corporations, schools, universities, jails, rehab clinics, community groups, religious groups, all sorts of different groups through the values of surfing. And I found I really loved doing it. I found I really loved impacting people. And I found I really gave people a way to find power, to make positive decisions. Because we lost my son, he played a dangerous game to a bad decision. So I really became empowered to make a change and help create a positive wave of hope and purpose around the world. So that's what I've been doing for since I lost my boy in 2006. I've written a number of books. I think I've written 5 books. Now, Surfer's Code. I wrote a rhyming book for kids called Crazy Creatures. Then I wrote The Code, The Power of I Will, which was a framework for positive decision making for young people. And then my latest book's called The Surfer and the Sage. And they're all inspirational, uplifting books. And then just recently, a couple of months ago, I relaunched Instinct here in the United States, which has been really exciting. I bought back the intellectual property. So my wife and I have relaunched the brand. It's been in the stores here for about a month and a half. It's great to see people selling product and people reordering product, because there's been so much dysfunction and lack of purpose in the surfing industry. All these big brands now have been acquired by private equity firms. I mean, I picked up, I looked on the web the other day. I mean, you can buy Quicksilver in Target. You can buy inflatable mats, for lounging in a pool in Target. You can buy Billabong and JCPenney's. I'm going these are beautiful, pure, core heritage brands. I knew all the owners when they started them, and now they've just been trashed. So I wanted to create a brand that aligned with my mission of creating a positive wave of purpose around the world. And that's what we're doing with Instinct. It's going to be the world's first social purpose brand. A portion of sales, goes through to my mission to help young people find their purpose, find their power, and find their path. So at the moment, I'm in the middle of this tour. It's called the Positive Wave Tour. 25 schools, 50,000 students, and every week I'm out there chatting to students. And people say, "What's your marketing? Like, how can you compete against all these multi-billion-dollar brands?" I'm going back to the roots, back to the roots, eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul, speaking to kids about how and why I started Instinct. Everyone writes their code, 12 lines. Every line begins with "I will." It's an amazing process. It's free. I like to say it's open source code. If anyone's listening and wants to do it with their sports team, wants to do it with their family, wants to do it with their business, you just go to my website, ShaunTomson.com. You download the worksheets free, and everyone together writes the code. So this has become my mission in life, is to create this positive wave of hope and purpose around the world by getting people to write their code. It's super simple. And millions of people are doing it, and it's awesome, and I love it. And I love talking about it, and I love getting people to do it. And it just makes a difference. It brings people together in this broken, divided, turbulent world we live in. So that's what I do, and that's a quick overview of my mission.
That's amazing. I think, especially recently, for both the smaller brands and for sort of taking that look within yourself and deciding who you want to be, what you want to do. I think the last 5 or 10 years, that's really become a lot bigger. There's whether that's through recessions, poor government decisions, whatever it happens to be. A lot of people are looking at them smaller brands, smaller companies, trying to buy local, eat, shop local, whether that's just food, whether that's merchandise, whatever it is. I think more people are a lot more open to that and buying quality products from a small, sustainable company rather than going to your big merchants. There'll always be a place for them, and you're never going to stop it completely. There will be, I mean, we got a Costco in the UK now, which you know is a massive American brand, and I know I used to go there when I was working in gyms full time, and because I could get Under Armour gear for relatively low cost, it was an easy brand to buy for. And where I was, there weren't that many small companies. Whereas when I moved to Cornwall, you got a lot more surf brands that are building up that are just round the corner. They're your tiny one-off surf shops. Um, I mean, for one, you got Elemental, which is where Spider Murphy is based in the UK, where his boards come out from with Brendan. Uh, so you can down there, you can still really shop local, and it's quite a big thing in Newquay for that, which is really nice to see. I'm glad you brought Instinct up. I actually mentioned to a old colleague of mine the other day that I was going to be having a chat with you, and he actually asked me to say, "Yeah, thanks for bringing Instinct back." He's frothing. I mean, he's. I'm not sure how old Matty is. He's somewhere between my generation and the one behind me. I'll leave it there. So he was a lot more. He surfed from an earlier age than I did, so he was watching all you guys as he was learning to surf and coming out of Gromhood. So he was still there with the original 80s and 90s surf gear like Instinct and Gotcha, Mambo, and all them lots. So, yeah, brilliant. And
Yeah,
I,
I mean, I'm very excited to bring it back again, and we seem to be getting nice resonance with the retailers and the customers, and we actually we're hoping to launch in the UK. I mean, I'm looking for a distributor right now. If anyone's out there wants to partner up with me, I think that today consumers have got a lot of choice. There's all sorts of great brands, great product out there. Um, but you need to kind of look and go, well, what does the brand represent? What does it stand for? Is it just profit, sales, and growth, or is there another important purpose associated with. Yes, we want to make great quality product that uh, fulfills the needs of someone that wants to like dial into the surf experience. But also, there has to be another underlying mission there. It's not just about creating cool product. Like, what does the product represent? So for me, it's yes, I want my brand. I want Instinct to be this inspirational brand, the social purpose brand that activates the code to create a positive wave around the world. Because the world is so screwed up, and surfing is a great healer. Let me tell you, I speak to millions of people, some of the biggest companies in the world, and I talk about the values and principles of surfing. People love it. Simple stories about perseverance and resilience, about courage and commitment, about deep emotional connectivity, about creativity and innovation. And these are all sort of fundamental life principles, but surfing, when you use surfing as a metaphor, people are blown away because surfing is so alien to so many people. Yes, there's more surfers now than ever before, but surfing as a segment of the general population is just this teeny, teeny sliver. But surfing represents, surf represents danger and turbulence and uncertainty and risk and spirituality and meaningfulness and peace and environmentalism. So it represents all these different aspects of life that other sports don't. Other sports are about, I smash a ball around and I get a score and I win. No matter what it is, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, rugby. I bash a board around in a white border, and success is beating an opponent. Kaboomski. Surfing, yes, you have the competitive aspect, but for me, the competitive aspect was always a kind of a small sliver of the whole circle.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people now, this comes up in a lot of the conversations I've had recently. It's so meditative, like because whether you're surfing 1 foot mush or if you are surfing waves of consequence, you're still focused on what you're doing. You're so in a moment, so present that it's not that nothing else matters. It's just not really coming into your mind. And if it does come into your mind, you're in such a more positive frame of mind that you can kind of deal with whatever's going on. A lot of people there'll be some kind of horrible incident in life and scenario that you got to go through. And surfers will probably just go and find the closest break that they can get in the water. It might even be flat. Like you just paddle out and basically just get your head together. Like you've got the space physically and mentally there to go, right, how am I going to best deal with this situation? I lost my dad in 2006. I've lost a few friends over the years. And if I'm able to, the first thing I want to do is either A, go to the gym, or B, get in the sea and just deal with that in my own way. Because you can just paddle out, say hello to someone, but you can be in your own space. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just get into your own mind and go, right, how can I best deal with this that when I get back to regular life, I'm in a much better place. Or if you
Yeah,
have just too
absolutely.
much going on, you can just zone out completely, go out on a day when you need to be sort of pretty focused and honed in to what's going on, and you're just not thinking about anything else at all. You're thinking about hopefully not having a severe wipeout and actually just getting back out the back and enjoying another wave.
Yeah, you can. I mean, surfing is a great healer. It's transformational, and I'll tell you what. I get the same experience. Well, my attendees or my participants when I do my talks and workshops, they get the same experience that a person gets from going surfing because I ask them right in the beginning of my presentations, text me a word that describes how you're feeling. and I create a word cloud. So word cloud, the more frequent words are larger. So I started doing this in March 20, when COVID hit, because my business went live stream. It went virtual because no one was getting together. So the 4 words were stress, anxiety, depression, and disconnection. I called it a sad mindset. And that didn't matter with schools, universities, super large corporations. These were people that were fully employed working for mega companies, so they weren't going to be fired. But that was sort of really what people felt. And people still, to a large extent, do feel that. So then what I would do is I would tell some stories. I'd tell 3 or 4 stories about surfing, like I said, perseverance and resilience, courage and commitment, creativity and innovation, and then interpersonal connectivity. And then everyone would write their code. 15 minutes, 12 lines. Every line begins with I will. You write your future. You commit, you focus. You promise yourself that you're going to make a change. I will. I will's about the future. And then everyone shares their code. I do this super cool process. I ask them, text me your favorite line of code that's about 1/2 of the meaning and purpose of life, which is I will be better. And then the lines come through. I will have faith. I will do what I say I will do. I will live a life of integrity. People write beautiful. I'll be present. I'll be kinder. I'll be a better husband. I'll be a better dad. I'll spend more. I'll turn the phone off. And that all comes up on the screen. So everyone sees that while we're different, we all have the same mission. We want to be better, half of the purpose of life. And then I say, but that's only half. The other half is text me a line from your 12 that's about helping other people be better. And the lines come across. I will volunteer. I'll be a mentor. I'll be the light in the darkness. I will lift others up when they're down. Just amazing words. So people realize that that's, in a simplistic sense, life mission. I'll be better. I'll help others be better. And we realize we all on this planet, we're all here doing the same thing. And it creates this unity in the broken world. Because every time I do an event, it's like a microcosm of the world. You know, if I do a big event for a big data company or a big industrial company, half of them are Republicans, half of them are Democrats. But you can bring them together. Half of them are conservative, half of them are liberal. You bring them together through values. And then I finish by asking people, text me 1 word you're taking home with you. Now, you must remember they've started at stress, anxiety, depression, disconnection. I call it a sad mindset. You're going to end with what I call a code mind flex, not mindset, mind flex, because you can change a consciousness. You can change mindset to mind flex in 90 minutes. So text me a word you're going to take home with you, and you know what the words are? The most popular words, the most common words, not popular, but common, are hope and purpose. So that's what I do. Through surfing, I'm able to inspire hope and purpose through the code. It's super cool. I love doing it. And you can do that in 90 minutes. And I do that no matter how big the crowd, no matter how small the crowd, no matter whether it's in a rehab clinic, whether it's in a jail, whether it's in one of the world's largest corporations. The results are usually the same, hope and purpose.
That's amazing. I've got to ask, are you going to be doing this at the Expo in September?
Yeah, I will be doing it at the Expo in Cornwall, in Newquay. So if you're listening to this, you've got to come. It's a fantastic process. Bring your spouse or bring your kids. It's super fun. Everyone does it. And for surfers, it's even more resonant because 99.99% of my audiences are not surfers. They don't know who the hell Kelly Slater is. They've never heard of the dude. They've heard about this giant wave in Portugal, and they've heard, maybe some of them have heard about Hawaii and the pipeline, but they have no awareness of the details of surfing. But they know about the risk, the turbulence, the danger, the excitement. So for anyone that wants to come along, it's going to be super cool, super fun. I have great video, and I'm going to be stoked. I came to Newquay, to Fistral Beach, the very first year they had a pro contest there.
Nice.
Myself, Rabbit, there was a whole crew of us. And I remember we walked down the hill, and it was 4 to 6 feet in perfection, dead offshore. I went, what? This is England. In those days, England was sort of, and Europe, it was like a outpost.
Yeah.
And we couldn't believe it. And now over the years, we've seen how much great surf there is in Europe, and it's in those days it was now the surf sort of mediocre, but it was great to have been there right at the beginning.
Amazing. Yeah, the UK does have its day. Might be a little bit less frequent than a lot of other places, but yeah, on occasion it turns on. So, for those that don't know, it's going to be the first surf and skate expo in around 15 years in the UK, and thanks to Christian Thompson, uh, Wavelength, Marek Marketing, Longboarder Magazine, 10 Over Surf Shop, he's managed to put that on. So, I'm going to have a stall there as well, just in the marquee in the holiday village. But I will find out what time you're on, and we'll be putting a sign up saying back in 2 hours. I definitely
Yeah,
won't be
that'll be
attending
great.
that one.
I'm hoping that it's a very successful expo. What I have found in this broken, disconnected world, when you bring people together, like old school, like you have like a surf movie, you bring people together. This stuff doesn't happen anymore. But like
Mm.
I'm making a concerted effort here in the United States to change that. We're doing 6 showings of Busting Down the Door, this film I produced, co-produced some years back. And we did our first showing in Santa Barbara. We had 2,000 people. It was fantastic. So we're doing them throughout Southern California. I'm going to be doing them on the East Coast. We're going to be showing the film when I come to Newquay. So these events are a wonderful way to get surfers together and sort of connect with one another and collectivize the power and stoke and good spirit of surfing. So I'm really looking forward to the expo. I hope it's a success. And also, there's going to be the business opportunity as well, which is great because the business can fund the spiritual aspect of it, which is just great. So I'm going to be stoked to meet the English crew. I'm actually half English. My mom was born in Plymouth.
Okay.
So isn't that a classic? Very few surfers know that, but my mom was born in Plymouth. Yeah,
She grew up in Malta though, is that right?
she grew up in Malta. She was in Plymouth till she was about 7, I think, and then they moved
Okay.
over to Malta. Yeah,
Yeah. There's a friend of mine, she moved out to Malta a few years back and was trying to convince me to go out, but probably like you guys back in the day and the UK, I was like, it's Mediterranean. I, I don't really go many places where there's not much surf. Like holidays are very few and far between. Like you want to kind of make the most of it and spend your money wisely.
yeah,
But no, apparently there's a few spots out there. I don't know the names where they are. I haven't actually ventured there yet, but I'm thinking maybe a winter mission in the next couple of years and
yeah,
just
yeah.
have a
It's
look.
amazing. They
But
surf everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
So,
If
so
you look for
I'll
it,
tell you what, Ross. So, I know you're in the surf coaching business, and you're obviously teaching people to surf. Um, there's two things that three things that I can suggest that I think are really important in a person's development as a surfer. One is that I wrote this surfer's code about 20 years ago. And in 15 minutes, I wrote down the fundamental lessons that surfing had taught me about life. And I created a little card, and I wrote, I will never turn my back on the ocean. I will always paddle back out. It's a really great card for young people who's starting out. Or it doesn't have, you don't have to be young. Who's starting on the surfing journey is just to read um, my 12 lines. I've been surfing a long time. I've caught more waves than most on this planet. And I think it's a good perspective for people to start with. Just read the 12 lines. And then once you read my 12 lines, I encourage people to write their own 12 lines and write it in a group. Maybe it's a surf club or maybe it's with your family. I mean, if you're a solo operator, just you can write it yourself because it gives you clarity, focus, and commitment. When you share it, it gives you accountability too. So in the context of just progression, it helps you progress. If you're a competitor, it gives you power. To succeed, you have to be committed and you have to be confident. Without those two, you're done. You've got no bloody chance. Yes, you have to have training, you have to have technique, you have to have physicality, you have to have desire, but you have to have confidence and commitment to succeed. You've got 60 seconds left and you need an 8.7. You have to be committed and you have to be confident. And writing your code can really help you in that. Okay, so that number one, read my code. Take you 5 minutes. Write your code. It's going to take you 15 minutes. And then if you're a competitor and you want to improve, this is a winning mantra. I'll tell you this. I won 19 major pro events. During my career, I was the youngest to win. I was the oldest to win. I've mentored many people, helped them become world champions too. So my method is a great method. And this is how simple it is. I call it the hot squared method. It's simple. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. That's how easy it is. That's the mantra. Everything around that is details. Tube, cutback, air, it's all details. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. Rhythm, flow, power, consistency, commitment. Super simple. It's all you need to tell people. You want to be a competitive success? That's it. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. You look at the best guys out there. The very best guy. I mean, you just look at El Salvador last week. Geordie Smith. Hard off the bottom, hard off the... He didn't win by doing aerials. Didn't win by getting barreled. Didn't win by doing big cutties. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. So it's a very simple mantra. It doesn't matter where you are in your surfing career, whether you've been surfing for 6 months, whether you've been surfing for 16 years. Hard off the bottom, hard off the top. It's not about being mechanical, because hard off the bottom, hard off the top is the principle for confidence and commitment. Outside of that is certainly the creativity, the creative aspect, but that is part of the detail. But the mission, the fundamental core, hard off the bottom, hard off the top, and many surfers have used that to help in their competitive surfing careers and also just to improve their surfing. Because the key aspect to success in sport, yes, confidence, commitment, but hard off the bottom, hard off the top is also about rhythm and flow. And when you have the flow, that's when your surfing and your sport becomes elevated. Flow is the state of absolute high performance. It's a mind state when you think you can curve the wall to your will. It was developed by a guy called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. I've actually spoken at 2 different conferences with him. He's passed away now, but he's an amazing psychologist who developed this theory of flow, the theory of ultimate human performance.
Nice. I like that. It's Like obviously, in terms of direct terms with surfing, everything's coming off your bottom turn anyway. Whatever you want to do, whether that's a carve, cut back, aerial, whatever. But then you've got to commit at the top of the wave as well to finish it, to nail that little section. But you are immediately transferring your gaze to the next section. And in order to do that, you need to line up the bottom turn again.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, wash, rinse, and repeat. And yeah, I really like that. And I think it's the same that goes with anything. You got to get yourself prepared. You got to nail that preparation, be ready for it. And then when it come times for the execution, same. You got to put that effort in, finish it off, but don't get complacent. Straight back into getting yourself prepared for the next thing. It's that a lot of people, when it comes to money, they look at the billionaires in the world and go, well, why don't they just sit back and relax? But I think, from what I can tell, your Bransons and your Musks of the world, we won't go into the political side of it, but from a business point of view, they put in all the work. They sell their multi-million, billion business, whatever it is. What do? Within 6 months, they're onto another project if they haven't already started one. Back to getting it prepared, getting everything they need to do, then go hard off the top, finish it, get it to where it needs to be, is done. Straight back down the bottom, doing the rest, and like you say, you just got that flow. So that can, yeah, I really like that because that passes on to a lot of things in life.
Yeah,
As soon as you stop, you lose your flow, and I think that's the trouble with a lot of things now, isn't it? People get a little bit lost. There's so much going on all over the place, especially with social media and distractions, that you forget about the fundamentals. So bringing it back again, go for a surf, clear your head, and realign with what is actually important to you. What do you want to focus on to maximize your life? I was having a chat with, let's say, Mitch Salazar earlier, and we're saying how we're all going to end up in the same place one day. When that happens, or how that happens, will differ, but it's inevitable. We all end up at that point. It's how you get there. So focus on what you want to do. Is that how you're going to enjoy your life? Because in your last 5 minutes, are you going to look back and go, I put everything in, I done exactly what I want? Or are you going to be filled with regrets? So follow that flow, keep doing what you want to do, and enjoy the process in between.
mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So what was the that third bit?
Sorry.
What was the third piece of advice you had?
Well, the one is to read my code.
Yeah.
The one is to write the code, and the
Ah,
third is to use this mantra.
that's right. Perfect.
Yeah.
So going back to more of a training side of things, I'm curious. What was I know there's a lot of strength conditioning nowadays in surfing in sports across the globe. Was there really much going on back in sort of the 60s, 70s, and 80s in terms of staying strong and fit for surfing?
No, there wasn't much sort of external physicality as opposed to just surfing. Surfing. I mean, I used to just surf more than anyone. I think I could out paddle anyone. Um, but today, it started maybe with Tom Carroll, who I sponsored the two world titles. Tom started to work out. He was a little bloke. He became very, very strong. So Tom was maybe the first guy. And then, after I retired, it seemed like guys started to take the external stuff more seriously. Surfing became definitely more technical with aerials. So guys, practice on a trampoline or whatever. Um, but still, I think there's been an abject lack of focus on mindset and the psychological aspect. You get in the gym, you sit on a bike, you do some weights. How do you create that committed, confident mind state? Um, how do you relax? How do you turn off the pressure? How do you dial down the heat? In those very stressful situations, how do you stay in the moment and not think about the win? Before you've thought about the wave that you're riding. So I still think that there's a lot of development, improvement in surfing regarding the mind state. Um, I think, there's a few guys involved today, maybe doing a bit of meditation to kind of calm the stress level. Uh, I didn't. I mean, what I used to do is because I was a taller guy, all my competitors, um, as I sort of got into later in my career, the tall guys dropped out like Simon Anderson and Mark, and I was left surfing against all these small blokes. So I started doing a lot of flexibility training and flexibility exercises. And I think that helped me push my career further because when I retired, I think the next guy was about, that I was competing with, maybe the youngest guy closest to me was about 8 years. So I was a lot older. I was almost a generation away from the competitors. So I had a long career and loved it, and retired on my own terms. I decided the year before I retired that I was going to retire. So it wasn't like I got pushed out or my results were crap. I still thought that on my last year I could have won any event. Um, but I think today you need to be fitter. The incredible stress when guys land these big aerial maneuvers. Gee, it amazes me that more guys haven't got tweaked knees, tweaked ankles. I mean, the height some of the guys get to. Um, that's why you see like a guy like Geordie Smith. He doesn't do many aerials anymore because he knows that one mistake on an aerial is a career ender, and he's just focused strictly on power, which is fantastic. So you have the smaller guys like Philippe Toledo. He's got power and he's got aerial. You got Italo Ferreira, who's just a madman. But then you had Gabe Medina, who was more thoughtful. He looked very strong. I don't know his workout regimen, but he looked like he was very strong. And then I think it was Mick Fanning who was big on exercise too. Kelly, I think just mainly flexibility, not so much weight training. But the key is still the time you spend in the water. And I think that many surfers could improve if they had a deeper understanding of two things. One is the boards. I mean, I read stuff about some of the young guys, they don't know what the hell they're riding. They don't even know the bloody thickness, the width. They don't even know where the wide point is. They don't know like what's the measurement of the fins from the base back? What is the, what's the wide point? What's the thickness? Have you been in a shaping bay and spent an hour and a half with a guy while he's made a board? So I think guys and girls could really improve that way. When you have a better understanding of your equipment, you have a better understanding of how to use it to win. And then I think really the mind state. I think guys and girls can improve their understanding the ebb and flow in a heat, and how to compete most effectively, how to use the priority, how to there's a lot of thought. There's a lot of thought process that goes into it. It's not kind of just surfing. There's a lot underlying it to get the surfing to maximum level.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a holistic approach, isn't it? There's no one thing that's going to really push it. Like you say, time in the water is just gold dust. The learning, and I was saying to Mitch earlier, it's also knowing, like reading the lineup, reading the ocean, because no 2 days are really the same. You can surf a break over and over again, but you, for example, you want to know that if you've got a southwesterly swell coming in, then the wave's going to break this way, and it might the sets might be more prone to swinging wide and blah blah blah. Or if you've got more of a northerly swell, there's going to be a stronger rip running through, and I think a lot of that element's lost with your weekend warriors and your sort of hobby surfers. Obviously, the pros have got that dialed in, and for them, it's learning the spots they're going to be surfing on tour just to give them that advantage. Um, so yeah, I think having that nice sort of holistic approach, getting your mindset right, getting your exercise dialed in, especially if, like you say, you've got more of an air game, then just do your knees a favor and get a few more squats in and get some banded exercises to really provide that stability. You're saying about Geordie, it was quite funny. Like the 2 days after the El Salvador event, like it was just blowing up everywhere. Power calves are back. Um, it was almost like an anti-air sort of rise. Like everyone was just hooting, hollering about Geordie's sort of win there and how he won with some just old school power calves
Yeah,
and how
but you must
surfing.
remember too, it was a fast wave and it was a hard offshore. So it if he came up against someone who busting in 6 foot air, it would have been hard.
Yeah,
It would have been it would have been really hard. So as the tour is evolving now, he's in a great position because the next three events up. You've got Bells Beach, which is really well suited to his style. It's not even though guys have one with big airs. You've got Bells Beach, you've got Burley Heads, you've got J Bay. I mean, Toledo got that 10 a few years back that was like one of the best
yeah,
waves ever ridden at J Bay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. For me, I mean, I love airs, I love the creativity, but I love the power too.
yeah,
Power's the essence of great surfing to me. I love power.
yeah. It's nice to watch as well, and I think a lot more people can relate to a good carve than a rotation in the air. Um, like for me, for example, I think I may have got above the lip 3 times in my entire life, and I'm not planning on really pursuing that because I'm 40 this year. I've had 2 knee operations. It's probably not the best route to go down. I'll be playing chess before you know it. Otherwise, um, so for me, maybe it's because I've got that little dream with that inner grom of I'll just stick and do carves and really nice turns on the wave and it'll look cool and throw a load of spray off the back. Um, Maybe it's a bit more relatable. Who knows? But yeah, it's all good. I think you saying that like the conditions were crazy offshore, weren't they? I remember seeing, I think it's Marco Mignot, and he just kept trying. I think it was round of 16, maybe. Every time he went in the air, like the board was just flipping, flipping, flipping,
Mhm.
like a surfboard in the wind. If you're running like a kite, almost spiraling, and you just think, I think Geordie definitely had that advantage of being a heavier built surfer, having that power, that raw power in the surfing anyway, and having the technical ability to just go and the experience and go right. Forget the airs. I can do them if I need to, but it's all about the rail game and
Yeah, yeah,
keeping
and we grew up,
one
in
on the
South
wave.
Africa, you grew up with hard offshores.
Okay.
Surfing J Bay Bay of Plenty, you grow up with hard offshores, so you love hard offshores. Whereas a lot
Yeah.
of other guys, like never gets doesn't seldom gets hot offshore here in California. I mean, maybe certain times of year, but it's not like every day you got the hot offshore to sort of to impact on your your surf style or your or kind of your you like just the way you surf.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I've not had the chance to get to South Africa yet. It's another place on the list.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
surfing nation. I mean, relatively uncrowded and a lot of amazing surfing and surfers there too.
yeah. A friend of mine who he's become quite a top shaper in the UK now. Actually, Brad Roachfoot. He works for FCS and he's got Roachfoot surfboards. Hopefully, he'll be at the expo. Actually, I reckon you guys would get on. But he stems from South Africa originally, um, and he absolutely ranted about the place. I've always remembered when we met him, he was working in a surf shop in Southampton in the UK, which there is no surf here. We're an hour from Bournemouth, which is the closest way we've got. And I think he'd been in the country for like 2 years and uh, didn't really realise there was much surf over here. So I think he just went on holidays. It's like, yeah, I'll come surf with you guys. Like, all right, okay. Didn't expect much from him because we thought, well, if you've been in the country for 2 years and you haven't surfed yet, like, are you really that into it? And yeah, just got absolutely shown up. Like within about 10 minutes of him being in the water, like shredding on a short board. He's like, "Oh, can I have a go on your longboard?" And he's right up there on the nose, and we're like, who the hell is this guy? I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but yeah, Brad absolutely shreds.
No, that's funny.
Really nice, humble guy. But yeah, if you,
Well, Ross,
but
thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
yeah, no, it's been brilliant, Sean. It's been an absolute honour to sort of have a conversation with you and hopefully catch up in September at the expo. Feel
Yes, I'm
free to
hoping
swing
that
by.
your listeners, will consider coming along
Mm,
I'm doing a couple of events there. I'm actually doing a couple of schools as well. Chris Thompson's organised me to. I asked him, I'd love to speak at a couple of schools. So I'm going to be hitting some of the local schools there in UK. It's going to be really fun, and
easy.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, feel free to swing by the store, mate, for a sports massage. And
Uh,
I'll be having a table set up, so hopefully put some smiles on people's faces and help ease the sore back and shoulders. But
Thank you, Ross.
so, if the guys want to check out your books and a little bit more about you, is there? I'll obviously pop any
You
links in
can
the
go to,
description.
there's two websites. The one you can go to is you can go to ShaunTomson.com, ShaunTomson, ShaunTomson.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. You can check me out on there. And then if you want information about Instinct, you can go to instinctsurf.com. Instinctsurf.com because we have a licensee in Australia and we have a licensee in South Africa. But the the one that I'm in partnership with my wife it's Instinct Surf. We're involved in the Australian and South African operations, but the latest product is coming from instinctsurf.com.
Perfect. Well, there you go, Matty. There's your link. Um, cheers for that, Sean. And yeah, like I say, hopefully catch up in September and enjoy the rest of your day, buddy.
Excellent. You too, Ross. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Take care.
And you.
Cheers.